Hi there, this is Dave Ferguson from Event Planner Productivity Hacks and Perfect Event Proposals. Today I'm here with Jeff Seigal. He's an awesome event planner from the East Coast. He's been event planning for 37 years. He started as a DJ in New York in 1977, and now he owns the Spencer Daniel Agency with over 100 staff, and they do over 500 events a year across the country, including corporate events, social events, association events. So Jeff's got amazing experience, which he's going to share with us today. So nice to see you, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, really great. Thank you. So thanks very much for coming on and answering a few questions today. So it sounds like you've got a great background. And if you could just tell us a little bit how you got started.
I got started in 1977 as a disc jockey for another company because I needed to make some extra cash
Right.
from my day job that wasn't paying me enough. And through the years, I worked my way up with that company, became a full-time DJ and MC, and then wound up doing all of the sales and managed the company that had 60 disc jockeys working for them back in those days.
Excellent.
I stayed with them for 19 years, and then the owner and I, it was time for us to part ways, and I started my own company.
Okay, great. And what attracted you to DJing and to events?
My friends just told me to call the owner of that company,
Okay.
and I didn't really ever think that I would be a DJ, or let alone an MC or talk on a microphone. And just one thing led to another, and I liked what was not to like. I was, 17 years old. We were out in nightclubs every night, and we traveled, every place in New York City, throughout New Jersey, Atlantic City, Philadelphia. We were in all the hot spots between 1977 and, like 1990, let's say. So it was a very cool time.
Yeah, it sounds like tons of fun. So tell us about now then. We're 37 years on, and you've got Spencer Daniel's agency, which sounds like it's doing awesome. 100 staff, 500 events a year. Could you just give us a little bit of a brief rundown on how you went from DJ to Spencer Daniel's agency and the growth along the way?
So I worked for the other company for 19 years, and again, started as a DJ, worked into doing the sales and events, overseeing and training other DJs and teaching them how to do things back in those days, and then ran the company, oversaw the office, oversaw what we referred to as the shop where all the gear came in and out and was repaired and so on. So when I left, I already had 19 years of all that experience, started my own company, and when I left, I literally left with nothing. I put a DJ system on a credit card for about $4,000, sent a letter out to all the people that I had worked with and whatnot, and then it started from there. And then as time went on, we added another sound system, added another DJ, another sound system. Somebody said, "Oh, could you do table arrangements?" And I was like, "Sure." So we started doing table arrangements. Then we started decorating people's events. One thing led to another where I continually kept adding and buying things over the years to whereas today we have a 5,000 square foot warehouse. We have several trucks and trailers, 2.5 acres of property, and I'm scheduling people to go do casino parties and inflatables and DJ events and so on.
Brilliant. Okay, well, that's great to know for any of the event planners out there who are working for an event planning company and thinking of going off by themselves. And you're proof that it works really well. You just need to what advice would you have for those people?
If you have that entrepreneurial spirit and you have the guts, I guess, to pull up your bootstraps and jump across the river, so to speak.
Yeah, you definitely need guts.
Well, it is scary because, today, I would say instead of actually just jumping across the river, make yourself a plan, and you really need to work that part-time entity, full-time along with your full-time job. And then at some point, you need to just make the jump, because when you jump, you might in the beginning as part-time, maybe you're making an extra $50,000, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 part-time, and then people will say, well, I'll have to pay for my medical benefits, or I'll have to pay. That money would change into 300,000 or 400,000 or 500,000 or more a year. So you'll pay for your own benefits instead of somebody else paying for them. But if you want to be in your own business, and you want to do it full time and make your own schedule, otherwise you'll do both.
Yeah, right. Okay, awesome. I mean, do you feel like you do get to make your own schedule? One of the things I hear from event planners often is how basically they sometimes feel out of control with time, and there's too many pressures from clients and vendors, and it's hard to really take control.
As an event planner or a producer, because that's really, a true event planner isn't necessarily planning the event, but they're pulling all the strings together and coordinating. But if, as a producer, you need to know how to take charge, and although the bride or the corporate assistant or whoever you're working with might think they're in charge, you need to know how to make suggestions that are really almost like orders, but you can't, because if you give them an order, they're not going to follow it. Sure. But you need to direct them so that you're in charge. Yeah. If you're not in charge, you're going to feel like you're all over the place. No different when you get to a venue and the caterer or the maitre d' says, well, we're going to put these tables over here, and you say, you know what, it's not really going to work the way that the client wants it to work. It needs to be set up this way. And then in my experience, usually they change the way the room looks.
Right.
And that's usually on the day of the event. They think they made the decision. When the client comes in, they want to feel like they're stars and they did this big thing for the client. And like, as the event planner, I don't really care what they think, because at the end of the day, I really, one, every event has to be successful because you're only as good as your last event. And two, what do I care? I'm getting paid.
Yeah, sure.
It's a business. It's a business I love, but and it's not only about the money, but I'm getting paid, so I don't care if the maitre d' wants to think he's a superstar or she's a superstar, because they're just getting their little check.
Yeah, and you're getting the effect that you want the client to see as well. So
correct. And at the end of the day, the client's not going to take the maitre d' to their next event, but they're going to take me.
Right. Yeah, sure. So yeah, no, so cool head and being a master of diplomacy obviously helps. So what about, are there any big lessons you've learned along the way? You mentioned, we talked previously before this call, and you mentioned about your name. Your original name wasn't the Spencer Daniels Agency, was it?
Correct. My original name was I Am for Fun, was a DJ company. And people begged me not to use that name.
How long did you use the name for?
I used the name for 2 to 3 years.
Okay. And what sparked you changing it to Spencer Daniels?
I had contracted a huge event with Compact Computers back in those days, and to do their national sales meeting. And it was a very large job, a lot of components. I had probably 45 or 50 people on staff for a one-day, all-day event. And I became friendly with the director of sales. And when everything was all said and done, he says to me, you have to change the name of your company. And I kind of laughed, and I said, not you too, because many of my friends and associates around the country begged me not to use the name. And when I asked him why, he told me that he went in front of the board of directors and said, they asked who's doing the national sales meeting, and he said, oh, a company called I Am for Fun. And they all said, I don't think so. So afterwards, I changed the name of the company to the Spencer Daniels Agency, and the phone and email came in quicker, and nobody hesitated, where I was having difficulty booking corporate work with the old company name. When I changed the name of the company, it was as quick as you could snap your fingers. People didn't hesitate, and they were excited. So it does go where some retail businesses, it's location, location, location. Well, in the event world, it's about the name of your company could determine the success or failure.
Wow. Okay, that's great information. I would never have imagined that it would be so important, but obviously for you, it was a turning point.
Well, and then for those companies that might want to sell in the future, and that future could be 10 or 20 years down the road, you know, nobody, it would be very difficult to sell Jeff Seigal Entertainment, let's say, because when Jeff Seigal's not around, then there's no more company.
Sure.
And they don't necessarily, how do you fix that? When it's just ABC Entertainment Company, it's a name that you've created, a brand that you've created, and within that market, somebody else can easily take your brand and move along. That's why McDonald's isn't called, something else. It's
Joe's Burgers, yeah. Sure. Okay, great. And then in terms of getting new business, how do you get most of your business?
A good chunk of our business would come from the events that we go out on every week. At any given event, I would say there's an average of 150 people. So whether we're at a wedding, a chamber gala, whatnot, where everybody in that room gets our business card one way or the other before they leave, very nonchalantly.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't have signage out at somebody else's event with our company name on it. Our signage is our business card.
Right.
So whether we're taking candid photos and posting them later, whoever we took a photo of, we're handing them our business card, telling them that the photos will be up on our Facebook page.
Right.
Okay. That they can go check out their photo or their friend's photo.
Yeah.
And then while you're doing that, people then say, like if we're doing a casino event, they'll say, "Oh, so you guys do photography too?" And say, "Yep, we do it all." So if it pertains to the event, then yes, we do have those services and provide them. But it's very easy to get, 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers.
Right.
So market the rest of the people that are in the room. You don't know what their jobs are.
Sure.
You don't know who they report to. You don't know who the CEOs in the room may be, or who's on the bowling team. It doesn't matter to me whether it's a bowling banquet or, Donald Trump is throwing an event in the towers in Manhattan.
Okay, awesome. That's great. So are there any other ways that you give your business cards to people at an event? Do you do it through gift bags? Do you put them in those or?
Gift bags never worked for us. People look in the gift bag, and if they're at a bridal show or they're at an event where they get a gift bag, they keep the gift cards. But it's too expensive for me to do gift cards. The other way to get new business is through email campaigns and social media.
Okay.
Those are the other ways, because then people share with other people.
Right.
And then at whatever point in time that they might be having or planning an event, hopefully they think of our company and give us a call for a quote.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to mention your Facebook page, and mostly because I've spoken to a lot of event planners. I've interviewed almost 200, and one of the questions I often ask is, how do you get most of your business? And like you said, most people will say through word of mouth. I've had a few people that have mentioned social media or advertising and things like that, but overall, the impression I've got is that they never seem to work that well. And I know that you make social media work for you in a great way without having to spend hours and hours posting, creating content and doing blog posts. So can you just tell us a little bit about how you use social media to help get more business?
So one thing I would tell everybody is that if you have a wrench, you can't use the wrench as a hammer.
Right. Okay.
Vice versa. So social media is a tool, and if you don't really use it correctly for you, there isn't any one specific way. Different businesses will use social media in different ways. You have to know in the event world on how to use it. So what we do is that at every event we go to, we have someone. He or she is not a photographer. It's just someone with a high-end digital camera, because the camera will do most of the work. You just need to take pictures of smiling faces. At the end of and you hand out a card to every smiling face that you take a picture of and tell them that in a few days they'll be up on our Facebook page. We then, after the party is over, after the weekend, we take all the events we do, from photo booths to DJs to whatever, casino events. We post them on our Facebook page and on a photo area on our website. And they basically then send an email to the client afterwards, like, hey, you could check out photos, feel free to share them, whatever, because people are so intertwined to Facebook these days. Mm-hmm. There's other things, but Facebook, everybody who's spending money is absolutely intertwined into that. They go on there, they take a look at their pictures, and then you can start seeing through your stats on Facebook as well as Google Analytics as to who, how many, age groups and so on. We only have, in our Facebook page, it's probably been up for 4 or 5 years, I only have maybe 1,800 likes on our Facebook page after all those years, but there's a lot of traffic from Facebook that winds up to our website, and then ultimately people are picking up the phone or emailing us about their event.
Okay, that's brilliant. That's super useful, I think, for a lot of planners and small companies, because I know that, I'm the same. I feel that to have a good social media strategy, you need to be constantly pumping out a lot of posts and comments and things like that. But your method seems super simple. You're at the events anyway. You just take a ton of photos and you use those as a way to draw people to your Facebook page. And also, you mentioned in our previous call, you also sell those photos?
On our website, there is an online photo store where we post the album that people, if they want to, they can purchase the photos. And we tell them that at the party. I will tell you, it is not a place where you're really making money.
Okay, yeah.
Because at the end of the year, there's not $1,000 that's coming in because of the photos on that website.
Right, okay, yeah.
It is, however, though, people are going there and looking, and then they're going to the Facebook page, and they're sharing the photos.
Sure, yeah.
So, and that's really where the numbers start to grow, and then hopefully somebody, when they're having an event, they'll think of us. The other place that people use, which is the time-consuming part, is in setting up, is Pinterest.
Right, okay, yeah.
So Pinterest, you would set it up and put photos of your services. So for an event planner, is really no different than what we do, even though we're the production company, is they would take pictures of different table arrangements, take pictures of different lighting setups, take pictures of different DJs or bands or photographers or whatever it is from all the services that they do at an event, flowers and florists. Right. And you're not promoting the florist, you're showing a picture of the bouquet.
Sure,
and
yeah.
Correct people, because I had somebody email me yesterday, like, okay, so I set up a Pinterest page and now they want me to repost recipes and something. That's not what you need to do to promote your Pinterest page. Again, it's directing them back to your website and your Facebook page.
Yes. Yeah, with Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook, all of those could be working for you great, because they're all photo-based. But right. as you said, as long as they all just link straight back to the website. Okay, that's absolutely awesome. And okay, over your years of experience, is there anything you do now that you'd say saves you a lot of time?
I very rarely physically go to meetings.
Okay. Yeah.
I usually talk to clients over the phone, even on an initial meeting. Somebody might send an email, and whether it's a bride or a corporate client, I might have a conversation on the phone for an hour or an hour and a half with a corporate client because they're looking to spend $20,000 or $30,000 or more, and there's a lot of Q&A that goes on in the form of a conversation. On my end, I'm making notes while I'm talking. and listening to what they're doing, what they did before. So if it's an event that they did before, not that I don't want to meet the client, but if I have to go meet somebody, even if it's within my local area, it's an hour by the time you get ready and get there and meet. It's an hour or two when you met with them. It's another hour to get back to your office and get your stuff together.
Right.
It's 4 hours. I could meet 5 more people on the phone in those 4 hours and take care of several emails.
Uh-huh.
I'm very good at meeting with people on the phone, and that's how most of our business is structured.
Okay.
Whereas other event planners, DJs, bands, florists, they seem to want to go meet with the person, and I've managed to figure out a way to not specifically have to do that unless it's a very high-end job. Then there is a meeting. But it's one meeting. Everything else then is email and phone calls in between the rest of my workday.
Okay, great. And your clients tend to find this okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's the only avenue where it doesn't seem to be okay is in the wedding market.
Right.
But the reality is, I mean, unless you're in specific markets like Long Island in New York, or maybe LA, or in big cities. But outside the big cities, most brides, and after 37 years, I have a pretty good insight. Most brides want to have a Cinderella wedding. However, they can only afford a 6-pack of Bud. So
Right.
there's no champagne in that picture, and they all try to figure out. And then the event planner, especially new event planners, it's exciting to them, and I get all that. But at the end of the day, they're not really making any money, and they spend hours and hours and hours. So those customers, even back in the day, they're just not my customer.
Yeah, sure. No, that's a good point. I think being able to kind of choose your customers is often really important. You don't want to take every single customer just because they're there. Some customers are good customers, some are not so good.
Well, you'd be better off trying to make a deal with the banquet hall at the bridal show to present your services to everybody rather than try to take every single bride and then hook one that has no money.
Right, sure. We also I just want to touch quickly on proposal writing. I know you said you write a lot of proposals. Do you have any kind of tips that you've learned from your experience of things that work in a proposal really well that tend to win more business, and things that don't work so well? Just anything you could share.
So the better proposals are totally done in an outline form, separating all the different categories for whatever those categories might be that you're putting the proposal together for.
Right.
So if you're doing decorating, then there's a decorating area, and then you start with 1, table arrangements, 2, room decor, 3, the entrance. Mm-hmm. If it's music or whatever it is, be as detailed as you can in an outline form, and keep all your prices all the way to the right-hand column.
Right.
Because that's how most people are accustomed to looking at a receipt. As opposed to putting a price and they're just kind of after the sentence or in different places in the outline. And then, it'll be easier for the customer, which is really usually a committee when you're doing those proposals, to read and present to everybody else. And then when they ask you questions, they can address specific numbers, letters, and lines based on that proposal, as opposed to typing up a paragraph or 2 or 3 and then coming up with a price. It's going to be tougher against somebody who's doing an outline.
Right. Okay. So your advice is to do like a high level outline. So I guess it's not going to be too long as well. How many? I mean, I guess every event.
I mean, it depends upon the services. I mean, your outline could be a single page. I've done outlines and proposals that are 4 or 5 pages long. Just using again, an 11 or 12 point font. You don't want to have anything crazy. You don't want to have any kind of crazy fonts or, funky stuff, because it'll turn people off. It needs to, just like reading a newspaper, it needs to be consistent and understandable.
Yep. Okay. Brilliant. That's great advice. And I know that email is a massive time suck for a lot of event planners. Is there any tools you use or any kind of strategies you use to help kind of manage email and not have it suck all of your time?
Unsubscribe from everything you don't use.
Okay, that's a good one.
And keep hitting unsubscribe. I used to get, just in the morning, I could have 70 emails
Oh, wow.
coming in of different things that really were just delete, 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 delete. And even deleting, it's time consuming. So go through your stuff carefully, and because there's not really that much stuff that you need to subscribe to,
Yeah.
that really you need to look at all the time. And even in your customers' emails, depends upon what they're emailing, because sometimes it's just okay and send. You don't have to start typing anything, and you go through them pretty quickly. The rest of the day, I'm pretty much at my desk all day, and I answer emails as I would answer a phone.
Okay. Yeah.
But if I knew it was a telemarketer before I picked up the phone, in email you absolutely know, so you could just ignore it,
Right.
and delete it. You don't really have to waste any time on that. When customers email, though, you want to answer them even if it's just a okay and hit send, or it might be something that you might want to pick up the phone because they want to add some other stuff or whatnot, and make the sale and not necessarily email them back.
Okay, awesome. No, that's great. I totally get it with the unsubscribing. I'm the same way. I wake up and I've got a lot of different newsletters. And one thing I do use, which is I'll put some notes into the blog, a link to one of my previous posts, a great free tool called Unroll Me, which will automatically unsubscribe you from everything you don't want. So I'll put a link to that. And then also, Jeff, just to kind of wrap up a little bit here.
Yep.
What would your biggest piece of advice for event planners to help them save money, or make more money? Do you have anything
So
you can impart?
to save money and make more money, first I would say surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are.
Okay, great advice there.
Um, you know, take a look and see how other people are doing sales for their company in your market. So if an event planner is in Dallas, you don't really want to pay too much attention to the event planner who's in Manhattan,
Hmm.
because it's two different markets, two different prices. On the same token, you might be you might be 90 miles, let's say, outside a major city, which puts you in the country. You're not really in an urban area, you're in more suburban.
Right.
Even if people are commuting, that market is going to be way different than the market that's in the major city. So you want to take a look in your area and surround yourself with people who are smarter than you in the cities, but you have to understand and learn how to apply those things to your market.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, that's brilliant. Brilliant advice there, Jeff. I totally agree. I can understand why. For any business I've done in the past, you always kind of look at your competitors, but not looking too far afield, and just you're looking at your direct local competitors is a great way to just know which direction to take. How would that save you money?
So it would save you money because in talking to those other people, you want to be able to offer, let's say if you were doing events on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best event,
Uh-huh.
you want to figure out how you can offer people a 10 at the price of a 7,
Right. Okay.
and not give them 7, you need to give them 10.
Uh-huh. Sure.
Because
Sure.
the other competitors, they might take a job, and then when the event goes off and the customer's not totally happy, many people in the event world, not just event planners, will say, well, you were only paying X. You can't, you can't get that expensive car because you didn't pay for it. You paid for a less expensive car. You need to figure out through networking, through relationship building, which comes from surrounding yourself with those other people who, some of those other people could be website designers. They could be people that are from PR or advertising agencies. They could be people in the news media. It's really a wide range. Besides surrounding yourself, or not surrounding yourself, but understanding and knowing how much is that guy at the local bar getting to strum his guitar for 4 hours? What's the bar owner paying him on a Wednesday night? How much is the florist charging for that Mother's Day arrangement?
Yeah, sure.
So when you start to put all these things in perspective, then you'll be able to go to the florist and say, listen, I would love to work with you. I know that arrangement is $50 for those roses and whatnot. I need you to give them to me at $40 or $35, or say, what is really the best price? Because hopefully I'm going to do 20 events a year with you.
Okay. Yeah.
If that florist isn't willing to do anything, then go talk to another florist. And then after that, it's just learning how to really, put it all together. But producing events at a level of 10 being the best event, and somehow, some way, even if it means you have to take a little less profit and giving it to them for the 7, whether you do that in the form of a discount, or whatnot, you still want that client to know that, let's say if the event's $10,000 and you're going to charge the client $8,000 and it might only cost you $6, well, you made 2 instead of 4. But it's like on Shark Tank. Lots of people watch Shark Tank. And people would say, I'm not giving up 75% of my company in exchange for becoming a multimillionaire. I'd rather keep my company and not be a millionaire. Give up 75% of your company and become a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
So in the event world, it's not necessarily that you become a multimillionaire, but it's okay to give up a little because you'll wind up doing higher end events for people. They'll be way more satisfied and you'll get more work, which will make you more money. And then that discount or whatnot, you'll be able to produce those $10,000 events or 20, whatever, maybe at the full boat.
Okay, awesome.
And throw in added services.
A ton of useful information there. So just to kind of recap it, a case of utilizing your network, asking for discounts, giving your client more than they bargained for in order to get better referrals and get more business. So yeah, that's amazing. Jeff, how would people get hold of you?
The easiest way is probably my email address. So it's Jeff, Jeff, at SpencerDaniels.com.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. You've given us some amazing tips and advice. I'm sure it's going to be very useful for the audience. And yeah, I hope you the best in 2015, and I'll look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Yep, same here, Dave. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Thanks very much, Jeff. Bye.